Welcome to Numismatic Vault, the channel where coins aren't just spare change, they're hidden treasures waiting to be found. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of rare and valuable Washington quarters. Some of these coins are worth far more than you'd ever imagine, and the best part, they could be sitting in your pocket or coin jar right now. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you might be looking at your change in a whole new way. Top 1. Today we are uncovering a piece that has intrigued collectors for decades, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1968. At first glance, it might look like just another quarter you could find in your pocket, but the truth is that some rare examples of this coin are worth a fortune. So listen very carefully and enjoy, because this one is a real gem for coin lovers. The year 1968 was a turning point in U.S. coinage. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, silver was removed from circulating quarters and replaced with the copper-nickel clad composition we're familiar with today. That makes the 1968 quarter among the early clad issues, and it also marks the year proof coin production returned to San Francisco after a hiatus. In fact, the mint mark you see on proof coins from this year was the very beginning of San Francisco's dedicated role in producing proof coinage, a tradition that continues to this day. The obverse of the 1968 quarter shows the familiar portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty above, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1968 at the bottom. On the reverse, the eagle spreads its wings proudly, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, a design that had been used on quarters since 1932 and remained a symbol of strength and peace for decades. Now, with hundreds of millions minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, you might wonder how such a coin could possibly be rare. The answer lies in quality and in minting errors that slipped through unnoticed. Most coins from 1968 were heavily circulated, meaning the surfaces quickly became worn, scratched, and dulled from daily use. That's why coins that survive in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded mint state 67 or higher, are extremely scarce. These top-graded coins show sharp details, brilliant luster, and almost no marks. Collectors chase them relentlessly, and auction prices can skyrocket for the very finest examples, but the real thrill comes with error coins. Some of the most dramatic varieties include double die obverse, where parts of the lettering or numbers appear doubled because of die misalignment. On a 1968 quarter, a doubling on the motto or the date can make the coin highly desirable. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is shifted noticeably, leaving part of the coin blank. The greater the off-center shift, the rarer and more valuable the coin. Missing clad layer errors are another fascinating type, where one of the nickel layers didn't bond correctly, exposing the copper core. This gives the coin a two-toned look that instantly stands out to collectors. Proof coins from San Francisco are also special. The mint struck over 3 million proof quarters in 1968, but only a fraction survive today in perfect condition with deep cameo contrast. These proofs, with their frosted devices and mirror-like fields, are breathtaking to look at, and the best of them command impressive premiums. In particular, any proof with strong cameo effect and absolutely flawless surfaces can sell for thousands. Another interesting detail is the mint mark itself. This was the first year since the early 1950s that San Francisco coins carried their own distinct proof-only mint mark. That little S on a 1968 proof quarter is historically significant and makes the coin a must-have for serious collectors building a complete set. When you bring all of these factors together, the historical context, the transition to clad coinage, the proof coin revival at San Francisco, the minting errors, and the hunt for high-grade survivors, you start to see why the 1968 Washington quarter is so much more than just spare change. It's a symbol of change, a key date in modern U.S. numismatics, and a coin that continues to surprise collectors to this day. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. While most 1968 quarters are worth face value or a modest premium, certain rare examples in perfect condition, or with dramatic errors, have sold for truly jaw-dropping amounts. Believe it or not, one of these coins reached an astonishing price of $87,000. That's right, $87,000 for a quarter that many people once overlooked as ordinary pocket change. This is why coin collecting is so thrilling, the idea that a small piece of metal can carry so much history, beauty, and hidden value. Top 2. We are going to explore one of the most fascinating quarters of the modern era, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1974. At first glance, this coin might look just like the quarters we all spend every day, but don't be fooled. The 1974 quarter has a story filled with history, minting transitions, and even some incredible errors that make certain examples extremely rare and highly collectible. So listen carefully, because if you are a collector or even just someone who enjoys searching through pocket change, this coin could surprise you. Let's begin with a little background. The Washington quarter had been introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. For decades, it was made of 90% silver, but in 1965 the United States Mint eliminated silver from circulating quarters due to rising costs. By the time 1974 came around, the clad copper-nickel composition had become standard. The coin weighed 5.67 grams, measured 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and had the familiar reeded edge. On the obverse, John Flanagan portrait of George Washington remained, and on the reverse, the eagle continued to spread its wings over arrows and olive branches. Now, you might ask, what makes the 1974 quarter so special? After all, over 800 million were minted between Philadelphia and Denver, with another group of proofs struck in San Francisco. The rarity is not in how many were produced, but rather in how few survive in exceptional condition and in the presence of unusual minting errors. High-grade coins are the first key to rarity. Most quarters from 1974 went straight into circulation. They were used in vending machines, cash registers, and daily transactions, which means they quickly picked up scratches, wear, and dull surfaces. Finding a coin today that remains in pristine mint state 67 or higher is incredibly difficult. Collectors pay strong premiums for these top-graded coins, especially when the luster is sharp and the details of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers are crisp, but errors are what truly capture the imagination of collectors. Some 1974 quarters show dramatic double-die obverse. Imagine looking at the date or the lettering and noticing a clear doubling effect. That kind of minting mistake can elevate the coin from ordinary to extraordinary. Another error seen in this year is the off-center strike. When a coin is not properly aligned with the dies during the striking process, part of the design can be missing, and part of the coin's surface left blank. Depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, these errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands. Then there are the missing clad layer errors. Because quarters are composed of a copper core with nickel layers bonded on each side, sometimes the bonding process fails. The result is a coin with one side that looks like copper while the other side shows the usual nickel color. These two-toned coins instantly grab attention and are highly collectible. Proof coins from San Francisco also deserve a mention. The mint struck more than 2 million proofs in 1974, but only a fraction remain in flawless condition with deep cameo contrast. These coins, with frosted designs and mirror-like backgrounds, are absolutely stunning. Collectors are willing to pay high amounts for those with the perfect combination of sharp strike, flawless surface, and deep cameo finish. It's also worth remembering that 1974 sits on the edge of an interesting period in U.S. coinage. Just the following year, in 1975 and 1976, the bicentennial quarters with the drummer boy design were released. That makes the 1974 issue one of the last years to carry the traditional eagle reverse before the big design change. Historical context like this often adds to the collector interest and desirability of the coin. All of these factors, historical importance, condition rarity, striking errors, and proof varieties, come together to make the 1974 Washington quarter a coin worth looking out for. For the casual observer it may just look like pocket change, but for a collector, it represents opportunity, discovery, and even hidden treasure. And now comes the part many of you have been waiting for. While most 1974 quarters are worth only a small premium over face value, there are rare examples, whether error coins or those graded at the very highest levels, that can command jaw-dropping prices at auction. In fact, one of the rarest examples of the 1974 Washington quarter dollar has sold for an astonishing $84,000. Yes, you heard that right, $84,000 for a single quarter from 1974. This is why searching your change, studying your coins, and understanding the details of minting history can be so rewarding. You never know when a seemingly ordinary coin might turn out to be a life-changing discovery.
Top 3. We're exploring a very interesting coin that many people overlook but collectors know has secrets worth uncovering: the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1982. At first glance, it looks like a typical quarter you might find in change, but as you'll soon learn, this coin has unique qualities, rare varieties, and fascinating errors that can turn an ordinary piece of 25 cents into something worth thousands. So listen carefully, because this may just change the way you look at every coin you handle. The Washington Quarter series has been part of American coinage since 1932, originally designed to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. The obverse of the 1982 quarter still carries John Flanagan's classic portrait of Washington, along with "Liberty" at the top, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date beneath. The reverse side still displays the heraldic eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows of strength and an olive branch of peace. Though the design remained consistent, the 1982 quarters tell a very different story compared to many earlier issues. That's because 1982 was a pivotal year for American coinage. For the first time since 1965, the United States Mint decided not to produce mint sets for collectors. This might sound like a small detail, but it meant far fewer high-quality examples were preserved at the time of minting. Instead, nearly all 1982 quarters went directly into circulation, where they were spent, stacked, and handled, losing their sharpness and original mint luster. As a result, finding a 1982 Washington quarter in true mint state condition today is far more challenging than most people realize. Another important feature of 1982 is that the coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Philadelphia quarters carry no mint mark, while those from Denver have the familiar D. Proof issues were struck at San Francisco with an S mint mark, but these were sold only as part of special proof sets. For regular circulation coins, especially those from Philadelphia, high-grade survivors are significantly scarcer than many other years, making them particularly desirable to collectors. Errors and varieties are where the real excitement lies. Some 1982 quarters are known for double dies, where parts of the design, like the letters in "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," appear doubled when viewed under magnification. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is shifted noticeably on the coin, creating unusual and eye-catching examples. Missing clad layer errors also exist, where one of the nickel-copper layers didn't bond correctly, leaving the coin with a striking copper appearance on one side. Each of these errors transforms a normal coin into something incredibly rare and collectible. Collectors also pay close attention to strike quality and luster. Because so many 1982 quarters were heavily circulated, it's unusual to see coins that retain full details, especially in Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers. Quarters graded MS-66 or higher are genuinely hard to come by, and those with superb eye appeal can command impressive prices at auction. Proof coins with deep cameo contrast are another area of strong collector demand, especially those with sharp strikes and clean surfaces. It's also worth noting that the 1982 Washington quarter is part of a broader historical moment. The early 1980s marked a time of transition in U.S. coinage, with rising production costs, changes in minting technology, and new policies about collector products. This gives coins from this era an added layer of historical significance, making them especially interesting to numismatists who value both rarity and the stories coins carry. So what does all of this mean for you as a collector or a casual coin lover? It means that every 1982 Washington quarter you come across deserves a second look. Check for mint marks, examine the condition, and be on the lookout for errors or unusual features. A coin that appears ordinary to most people could turn out to be a hidden treasure. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The thrill of discovery is always just a coin flip away. And now for the part you've been waiting for. Believe it or not, a rare Washington quarter dollar from 1982, preserved in exceptional condition with the right error or variety, has sold for as much as $76,000, yes, $76,000 for a single 25-cent coin. This is the magic of numismatics, history, rarity, and collector passion transforming everyday objects into extraordinary treasures.
Top 4. We're going to explore a coin that many people overlook, yet it holds stories of rarity, history, and surprising value, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1993. At first glance, this coin may look like any other quarter you might pull out of your pocket for a soda machine or a parking meter, but if you listen carefully and look closely, you'll realize that some of these coins are far from ordinary. In fact, certain rare 1993 quarters have shocked collectors with incredible auction results, and today we're going to uncover why. Let's begin with a bit of background. By 1993, the Washington quarter had already been in production for over 60 years. First introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, the design by John Flanagan had become a true American icon. On the obverse, the familiar portrait of Washington faces left, while the reverse still features the eagle standing proudly on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, representing both strength and peace. It was one of the last years to feature this traditional eagle reverse before the state quarters program launched later in the decade and changed the look of U.S. coinage forever. The 1993 quarter was struck in copper-nickel clad, just like other modern quarters since 1965. It weighed 5.67 grams, measured 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and had the familiar reeded edge. Millions of these coins were minted in Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, with additional proof strikes coming from San Francisco. So if there were millions made, what makes this coin special? The answer lies in rarity of condition and the presence of dramatic minting errors. Most 1993 quarters entered circulation immediately, and after years of use, they bear scratches, dings, and general wear that strip them of their original luster. Finding one in pristine mint state condition, graded MS67 or higher, is very difficult. Collectors prize these top-graded coins because they show razor-sharp details, booming mint luster, and virtually no marks. A coin that survives in such superb condition is truly rare, and auction prices reflect that. Proof coins from San Francisco are another highlight. These were struck with polished dies and special planchets, producing mirror-like fields and frosted images. Some examples display deep cameo contrast, with Washington's portrait and the eagle looking almost three-dimensional against the reflective background. High-grade proofs that remain free from haze, spots, or hairlines are sought after by serious collectors, but errors are where things get even more exciting. The 1993 quarter is known to have produced a few fascinating minting mistakes. One of the most dramatic is the double die error, where parts of the design, such as the date, motto, or lettering, appear doubled under magnification. These coins are incredibly desirable because each is unique evidence of the minting process gone wrong. Off-center strikes are another type of error that collectors chase. When a blank planchet isn't properly aligned in the press, the design is struck off to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. Depending on how extreme the off-center shift is, values can climb quickly, especially if the date remains fully visible. Wrong planchet errors are also highly collectible. Imagine a quarter design struck on a dime-sized planchet, or on a foreign coin blank that somehow slipped into the machinery. These spectacular mistakes create one-of-a-kind treasures. Another error to watch for is a missing clad layer. Since modern quarters are made of a copper core with nickel layers on each side, sometimes one of those layers fails to bond. The result is a coin that shows the reddish copper core on one side, while the other side looks normal. This striking two-tone appearance is immediately eye-catching and commands strong collector interest. When you combine these possibilities, superb condition coins, stunning proof issues, and dramatic errors, you begin to see why the 1993 Washington quarter has become so intriguing to collectors. What most people see as just 25 cents could actually be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more if the coin is exceptional. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While the majority of 1993 quarters are worth only their face value, the rarest examples, especially those in top mint state condition or displaying extraordinary errors, have sold at staggering prices. One such coin has even fetched as much as $78,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $78,000 for a single 1993 Washington quarter dollar. That's why searching through your change, looking carefully at details, and learning about minting history can turn a small piece of metal into a life-changing discovery. Top 5 We read diving deep into the story of the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1997. At first glance, it may look like just another quarter you could spend on a gumball or drop into a vending machine, but let me tell you, some of these coins have an incredible story, and in rare cases, they can be worth a small fortune. So if you're a collector, or just someone curious about what makes an ordinary coin extraordinary, then listen carefully because you don't want to miss this. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic pieces of American coinage. First introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, it quickly became the standard design on our 25-cent piece. By 1997, the coin had been in circulation for over 6 decades, and it was among the final years to feature the traditional eagle reverse before the state quarter program took over in 1999. That makes the 1997 quarter historically significant because it represents the end of an era, a coin design that had been part of American life for generations. Now let's talk details. The 1997 Washington quarter, like others of its era, was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters across with a reeded edge. These coins were minted in huge numbers at both Philadelphia and Denver, with proof versions coming from San Francisco. With so many produced, most of these coins are still worth face value, but as collectors know, the true magic lies in condition and error varieties. For circulated examples, the value isn't much above 25 cents. But when you find a coin in superb mint state condition, think MS-67 or higher, things change dramatically. These coins show blazing luster, crisp details, and almost no marks. Because the majority of coins saw heavy circulation, finding one in this pristine condition is rare and highly desirable to collectors. Proof coins from San Francisco are also important. These are struck on special planchets with polished dies to give them that mirror-like shine and frosted details. A 1997 proof quarter in perfect condition, especially one graded PR70 deep cameo, is a prized addition to any collection. The artistry really comes alive when you hold one of these proofs in your hand, but here's where things get even more fascinating: minting errors. Collectors love them, and the 1997 quarter has its fair share. Let's start with double dies. If you look closely at certain examples, you can find doubling on the date, the lettering, or even the motto, "In God We Trust." These errors are the result of die misalignments during production, and they make the coin unique. Another sought-after error is the off-center strike. If the coin blank wasn't perfectly aligned, the design can appear shifted, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the full date is still visible. Then there are wrong planchet errors. Imagine the Washington quarter design struck on a nickel or dime planchet by mistake. These coins are spectacular to find and can bring thousands of dollars depending on the error type and rarity. That we also see missing clad layer errors on some 1997 quarters. Because modern quarters are made of a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers, sometimes one side is missing its nickel coating. The result is a coin with a copper-colored surface on one side and the normal silver color on the other, a striking error that instantly grabs attention and collector demand. Toning is another factor that adds character and value. Over time, some quarters develop rainbow-like colors due to environmental exposure. While not technically an error, beautifully toned coins are often bid up by collectors who appreciate their eye appeal. So when you combine rarity of condition, special proof strikes, and fascinating minting errors, the 1997 Washington quarter becomes far more than just a piece of pocket change. It becomes a treasure hunt, a collectible, and in some cases, a ticket to big money. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While the majority of 1997 quarters will never be worth more than their face value, a select few have astonished collectors at auction. The highest reported price for a rare, high-grade, or error-filled 1997 Washington quarter has reached an incredible $75,000. Yes, you heard that right, $75,000 for a single quarter. This is why collectors stay vigilant, always examining their change, and why you too should keep an eye out. The next coin you overlook could be the one that changes everything. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the hidden value of the 1997 Washington quarter dollar. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another exciting coin story. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and may your next discovery be a rare treasure.